what we see with the plane is magnetic monopole, because you're seeing this plane get encapsulated and then it's just not there anymore. You could think of that as like a positive or a minus, which would mean that, oh, the other side is going to be a positive or minus. Like last time I was actually on here, I brought Dave Rossi, who's a defense contractor engineer. He's the guy that came up with the fourth orb hypothesis, which is that, okay, this is a closed loop system. And what this would mean is that each of those three orbs spinning around the plane, imagine them each having one negative charge. So combined, they would have 3 negative charge. Okay, well then the other side, we would expect there to be 3 positive charge on the fourth orb, which is the destination. So when that plane disappears and escapes out of our space-time for a brief second, where's it going to show up? Well, it's going to be attracted to the location of the opposite charge, just like normal.
A magnetic monopole would effectively give us free energy.
Oh, definitely, because now that's teleportation. Now we're talking, I'm pulling something from over there and bringing it to me.
So one of the things you see often on the internet, these perpetual motion machines, is they'll get a bunch of magnets and they'll align them at an angle and the wheel will start spinning. The problem with that is magnetic dipoles retract and repel, so it's going to lock in place. It's not just going to get pulled forward, it's going to stop, unless you're using an electromagnet, which is you're pumping energy into the system. If we were able to create physical monopole magnets that were just pulling, it's going to keep spinning.
And so you know what they do for that. And so magnetic motors are real and are possible. It's just not easy to pull off. But yes, the answer is use an electromagnet. Why? So when the magnets are aligned in a certain way, they're going to attract. But once they get to this point where they're even, now they're going to try to pull backwards. It's going to resist. So what do? You've got your attractive force that you want. But then once they get to this point, now if it keeps going, it's going to pull back. What do? Well, I flip the magnetic pole. So use an electromagnet. You flip this off at the exact right moment. And now this side will keep going. Then you turn it back on again when the next one comes around.
That's a railgun.
And so it's just all you're doing is pulsing off or on your electromagnet. And theoretically, then now if your pulse is cheaper than how much energy you're producing from that rotation.
But it's effectively what a railgun does.
Yeah.
They take a magnetic metal, a ferrous metal of some sort, shape into a bolt, and then you have a series of electromagnets that they turn on and off rapidly in succession, which pulls the bolt and then flings it out of the gun at a high speed.
I have a demonstration,
yes.
but I could not bring the track with me, so I cannot. I have all the magnets to demonstrate the real gun. Yes.
We need liquid nitrogen to do quantum locking and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's similar.
You don't have the liquid nitrogen today. That real quick, I want to address some other points because yes, I want to challenge all the academic physicists out there to try to debunk the claims that we're making. I'm also open to a debate. Any academic physicist or professor who wants to debate about zero-point energy topics, happy to debate about it. Free energy is real, but it is a misnomer. It's just extracting zero-point energy, or any system that produces over unity can be considered free energy. The first law of thermodynamics is not violated. Energy is not being created or destroyed in this situation. We're just pulling it from a different source. The zero-point energy, the ether. The second law is not violated either. Why? You'd say, well, no system can be perfectly efficient, but we have another input. So we have one normal input that we're putting in, and then we have an extra input of the zero-point energy. And what that means is now when you combine those two, even if the overall system is only 90% efficient, your output might still be greater than 1. That means over unity again. So yes, it is possible to produce over unity systems. And this also means that we're going to reach a point where there is no scarcity on planet Earth. If we can have consistent over-unity systems that are producing more energy out than what they're getting put in, we're going to get to a point eventually where we have infinite energy. And also alchemy is also real. Is that when you look at cold fusion specifically, they are seeing transmutation of elements in those processes. It was reproduced many times over. If you talk to any expert in low-energy nuclear reactions like Bob Greenier, alchemy comes along with it. And what this means is we are looking at Star Trek replicators in our future. Probably not in our lifetimes, but at some point, it's going to happen. The last thing I want to say is that nukes, I didn't think we were going to talk about nukes, but Doctor, you and I were talking about it on the ride over. And I was reading Friedwart Winterberg's Principles of Thermonuclear Explosions yesterday, actually. And the very first introduction just straight up says they classified fusion research because a nuke has 2 stages. Has the fission stage where the atoms are being separated, and then they flow into like a new area where the fusion stage occurs. And the fusion stage is where then you have this reaction occur, and it's being confined by this particular metal, and eventually it amplifies, and you have your massive explosion. And what they said was that they hid the fusion research because of nuclear weapons. It's all been classified since the H-bomb, and the H-bomb was specifically when they figured it out. So I propose they figured out this concept of 0 point energy, space not being empty, like during the Manhattan Project or right after. And that's when John Archibald Wheeler and Richard Feynman said, the amount of energy that's in this 0 point energy is not this tiny, insignificant amount that academic physicists will tell you. They said it's 10 to the 120. That's 120 zeros. They said it's practically infinite. They said it's so much energy that the empty space in the size of this can could vaporize all the Earth's oceans. All the Earth's oceans. So it's this huge amount of energy that's available. And Friedwork Winterberg, the same guy that wrote the nuclear explosions textbook, he has a theory called the Planck ether hypothesis. So we're bringing the ether back. We're going, okay, the ether isn't this viscous fluid that we're like gonna, touch and feel. It's this quantum extra dimension filled with energy, and we're living on the surface, and we can't see this extra dimension that's right there all around us all the time. And his theory of the Planck ether hypothesis is essentially the same as 0 point energy, saying that this space-time energy explains mass, it explains inertia, why we feel resistance when we move around. It explains distance. Why is there distance when there should be no distance at all? And it also explains dark energy and dark matter too.
Okay, so you touched so many topics. So let me bring my understanding of physics, bring some understanding to what you're talking about. Number one, I want to emphasize Ian's point. Say, we always confuse with a perpetual motion machine versus real phenomena. So actually, we do not have a perpetual motion because Ian mentioned that we have an open system. You only have a problem with perpetual motion is you have a closed system, no energy input, right? So now you constantly running does not make sense. But in this case, the space actually called permeated or filled with matters of substance, not just say purely we talking about the ether. So that's where bring this called the 0 point energy point. So 0 point energy basically means it's the lowest state of the universe, right? So at almost 0 degrees, we're supposed there's no motions. Why they have energy? That's exactly emphasized. The space is not empty. Mm-hmm. Now say, what is in space? Most people say ether, but ether has this negative connotation, like a hypothetically stuff. I wanted to give my version is the space filled with fluid, magnetic fluid, made by just small magnets. Just you mentioned, whenever you subdivide magnets, you always kind of smaller. So how small this I'm talking about this called a magnetic fluid could be billions of times smaller than electrons. Electron we consider one of the smallest fundamental particle, regardless the neutrino, right? Yeah. So neutrino is supposed to like 10 million times smaller. Magnets can be infinite subdivided. And this infinite subdivided and fill out the entire space. So we are not just say fish living in the water have a medium of the ocean water, right? We are living on the earth, we're surrounded by atmosphere, right? In space, we said the space is a plasma field or something. Actually, that's what the field I call the Yuan magnetic field. So that means filled with the substance. That's the substance. Huh. Evidence is that substance carry transverse light wave. And that's the same substance carry gravity. So gravity just magnetic. We have I call the universal magnetic medium.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.